What's going on, everyone? Dottz here, and today I have a Q&A video for you guys. For those of you who do not know, this is a monthly series that I do on my channel where once a month I just take questions from you guys, the community, and one of my patrons, Aidda, who is the supporter and backer of this series monthly, so huge thanks to her for her support over on Patreon. And guys, if you like what I do here on my YouTube channel and want to help support me for as little as $1 a month and get some perks along the way, you can feel free to join over on Patreon at patreon.com/dottsgaming, or you can also click the join button below this video to subscribe here on YouTube and get a lot of similar perks. But for those of you who don't know, this Q&A series, I basically just answer a bunch of different questions that she has herself or is curated from the community. And they could be about me, about ESO, about other games, etc. But I think today's batch of questions looks like it's going to be very ESO focused. So we're going to talk about a couple of Greymoor specific things, some stuff about potions and poisons, and some other stuff. So moving right into it, our first question is it's actually Twitch related. How do drops work and how to check if they are on? So this is something that I've been not only seeing plaguing my stream, but seeing plague the streams of my friends. So for those of you who do not know, drops are basically something on Twitch that you can get from just watching a stream. As long as your Twitch account is linked to your ESO account, which could be done on ESO's website, you are able to earn drops by watching streams. You don't have to do any commands. You don't have to talk in chat. All you have to do is watch the stream while your accounts are connected, and that is it. Now, when you watch someone stream, the best way to know if drops are on is it will say directly below the stream, drops are on. If it doesn't say it, drops are not on. Doing exclamation point drop does not turn them on. It doesn't drops activate. It just, they're on, it'll say that they're on. As long as your accounts are connected, that's it. You don't have to do anything else. The next question is that are Mythics account bound or character bound? Mythics are very thankfully account bound, not character bound. That would be absolutely miserable if they were character bound. Does the XP scroll affect excavation or scrying experience? It does not. So experience scrolls will really only affect skill lines that gain experience through the traditional way of killing monsters. Something like the Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, Sigic, Excavation, which have really specific conditions that you need to make to be able to gain skill experience for those skill lines. Those will not work with experience potions. So just something to keep in mind. Was there anything about this launch of Greymoor that surprised me? Ooh, that's a really good question. I would say the two biggest things that surprised me, unfortunately, were... Okay, you know what? I'll do a positive and I'll do a negative. So the big positive that surprised me with this chapter was the amount of build diversity that came out of it with in regards to PvP. I really love the new PvP build diversity. There's a lot of different things that you could run. A lot of new possibilities got opened up with the Mythics, and I'm a really big fan of the fact that we can all really play our builds in different ways. It's just not like slap on Fury at MA anymore. You know, there's a lot more personality in the builds. I feel there's a lot more diversity, and it's a really, really good and healthy thing for the game. But the negative thing that surprised me was the fact that for those of you who don't PvP, healing was nerfed by an additional 10% in PvP combat, which is effectively a 20% nerf to healing. And let me tell you, it is extremely noticeable. It ended up being way more noticeable than myself and others thought. And that was kind of the biggest negative that came, was I didn't fully realize how truly bad it would be until this chapter came out. So had to be really creative with kind of how to work around it. And I have builds now for my characters that work well, even within the confines of this new healing meta. But it was definitely a huge challenge. It was a huge, huge challenge to kind of work around it. But those were probably the two biggest things that surprised me. One positive, one negative. So was there anything about this launch that you were worried about and was okay? Yes, actually. It's a very good question. So the big thing that I was worried about going into Greymoor was actually the Antiquity system. It was not something that I tested when I went on to the PTS, and if I'm going to be honest, it was a system I never tested. I just did some like very grassroots based things to kind of show people for videos, but I never really went through the leveling process myself on the PTS. And all I heard from other people was how miserable it was, how much it sucked. It was such a long grind. It put the Psijic to shame and blah, blah, blah. And when I actually got my hands on it, it really wasn't that bad. You know, like, yeah, the grind did take a while, but it wasn't as painful as doing something like the Psijic Order or the Mages Guild, or just simply because, like, it had, like, I had to use my brain a little bit, you know, like, it wasn't like just run around, collect books, run around, close portals. You know, I actually had to do, like, little puzzles in order to get my pieces, and it really didn't take me as long as I thought. You know, you could basically get it leveled up to 7 in like 4 to 5 hours, and then just find your mythic and bam, you're good. That was another good thing that I didn't realize. I thought I would have to grind it up to 10 and it was going to be a miserable process, but you only need to get it up to 7, which was really nice. So definitely was something that surprised me. I was worried about, but ended up actually being okay. So what would you run on your MagDK PvP build if you didn't have the Malakath ring? So I would personally run Eternal Vigor. One of my friends does that. He doesn't run the Malakath ring himself. He runs Eternal Vigor on his jewelry and weapons. And Eternal Vigor has actually been one of the huge surprises of this patch. I know when I looked at that set on paper before, I was like, you know, whatever. But once we discovered with this patch that health recovery was going to be such a hugely like important stat and be like really, really good, Eternal Vigor really was able to show its value, because it gives you stamina magic recovery when you need it, but then it gives you that HP recovery when you need it most, when you're low. So really am a big fan of the set, and yeah, that's what I would probably run if I didn't have what I had. So some questions about potions and poisons. How often should I be using potions when I'm low on a resource? Right. So the way that you want to use potions is actually going to be different based off the potion that you're using. In general, so let's say you have spell power potions or weapon power potions inside of PvE. You are going to want to use that potion on cooldown when you're in combat, because you are going to have really important major buffs tied to that potion. So for example, if your major sorcery is tied to your potion, you pretty much want to use it at all times when you're in combat, because you don't want to let that buff drop off because of how important it is. On the flip side, if you're in PvP, and let's say you're using a tri-stat potion, which is going to give you resource restoration, that is something you're going to want to save for when you need it. You're not just going to want to like I wouldn't just randomly use it if you're at full resources. You want to wait to a point where maybe you need a small heal and you pop it for the heal, or you are low on stamina or magicka and you pop the potion for that reason. Another example is immovable potions. Let's say you want to go for a res on somebody, right? This is something I don't know if a lot of people know. If you want to go for a res on somebody, you obviously can be bashed when you go to res somebody, but if you pop an immovable potion right before the res, you won't be able to be bashed because you technically can't be hard CC'd. But a bash hard CCs you when you do bash somebody. So it's really good to be able to use potions when you need them. You don't always want to just use them on cooldown, or you always don't want to just use them when you're low on resource. It just really depends on the potion you're using and what role that potion plays inside of your build. When I make a potion, my duration is not as long as yours. What am I doing wrong? So the big thing is that you're not doing anything wrong. It's just that you're missing a certain perk. Now, I explained this in a couple of my beginner guides, but I will also highlight it here. Every character should have their alchemy leveled up to 50 for one single passive called the medicinal use passive. And the medicinal use passive is going to increase the duration of your potion effects, which effectively will give most effects on you a 100% uptime. So it's a really, really important passive, very important, especially like example for PvE. If you're getting your spell power buff from your potions, if you don't have medicinal use, your major sorcery or brutality is going to have cooldown, or it's going to have downtime. But if you have medicinal use, it will not. So that is why it's extremely important. If you guys want to, I do have a video on my YouTube channel called The Complete Crafting Guide. I would go and watch that video. It has how to level up alchemy quickly and cheaply, and you can get it up to 50 in literally like 15 minutes. It's really, really simple. Now, the next question is that you said there were armor potions. I'm guessing that is for tanking. Actually, no. The armor potions are, again, primarily like a PvP potion that a lot of people use because it's armor that you can get outside of the major minor system. Typically, tanks want to use like tri-stat potions, and you can get resistance capped from your armor and CP anyway, so you really wouldn't need the armor potions. What should I watch out for when buying potions from guild traders? Nothing really specific. The big thing that I would do though is just, you know, it's like purchasing anything else. I would go from trader to trader to make sure that you're getting a good deal for the potions that you're buying. Make sure that you're not overpaying or underpaying. Obviously, make sure that they're max level potions, assuming you're a max level player. But there's really nothing that I would say that you should particularly watch out for. The next thing is that why am I getting potions that do bad things? How do I fix this? So certain potions can absolutely give you negative effects, and it's just, you're just going to want to use different ingredients. If you look at the UESP wiki, actually the UESP has a really good table for like crafting potions. So basically what you can do is you can go, okay, let's say I want major intellect, and you can go there and see what other things work with major intellect and like how to get that and other bonuses. Or you could use the potion crafter add-on inside of ESO if you're on PC. I'll actually even pull it up right now to give you the specific name. That's what I use whenever I want to craft a potion and I want certain effects. I'll just pull that add-on up and click the different potion effects that I want and see if I can put them all together. So it is called, let me see if I can find it. I gotta scroll down here. It is called Potion Maker. So that is what I would recommend. It's really good add-on. 100% recommend it. But the thing is that like obviously some potion effects won't be able to be in the same potion. So UESP will show you specifically, you know, let's say you want to make a speed potion, you know, and you want to know what other effects can I have with that, you know, just like maybe 2 effects or 3 effects. That will show you what effects go with what. The next thing is, if you could remove a potion or poison from the game, what would you pick? Resource cost increased poisons, 100% would be the ones. I don't like them. I hate them. They're really annoying to play against. It's a very bad like mechanic. I just don't like it. I don't like the thought of being able to just murder your opponent's sustain in a game that's super reliant on resources. So if I was to remove one, instantaneously what it would be. How do the crown login rewards compare to the poisons you make? Actually, that's a very good question. They used to be significantly worse, but they finally changed them so that the ones that you get from the login rewards are on par with the potions that you can craft. So I would absolutely keep them if it's a potion that you need. Are there any resistances to poisons? You can get poison resistance. Argonian is immune to the poison status effect and does have poison, some increased poison resistance. Or actually, is that Bosmer? I'm like blanking out. Let me just double check. Bosmer passives. Oh, no, excuse me. It is Bosmer. So Bosmer has poison resistance, 2310, gain immunity to the poisoned status effect. So that's the good thing about like Bosmer is that you're able to resist poison a bit. Like it's not like it's gonna prevent the poison status effect from, or it's not gonna prevent like poison effects like the increased cost poisons or whatever. Like it's not gonna prevent those. It's just gonna increase the status effect itself, which is like the dot, and then it'll give you some resistance to any poison damage that you're taking. The next question is, using CP 150 poisons are okay, or were you just doing that for the video? Well, actually, consumables, for whatever reason, stop leveling at CP 150. There actually is no, like, CP 160 potions. They're just 150. Don't know why, but it just kind of is that way. Next question. So unlike potions that have 3 effects, poisons can double up. Your example is damage, health, poison, double dots. So they stack. They have the same effect. I must be missing something. So there are 2 different types of, like for poisons, there's just 2 different types of dot effects. There's like gradual damage over time and like lingering damage. I don't know. It's just a poison that exists in the game called double dot, where you can get 2 separate dot effects on the same poison. It's really the only time you'll be able to do that. But technically speaking, those effects for double dot poisons are different. It's just they do nearly the same thing. So in that case, yeah, you're kind of able to double up on that effect. So these are Inspired by some of the questions in the video. Okay, cool. So should I use different poisons on bows and daggers, swords, staff? So the poisons that you're going to use are not really based off of like weapons or anything. It's just kind of based off of your build and what you feel that your build needs. And again, poisons aren't always something you want to use. Sometimes enchants are going to be better, but you can get really customizable with poison. So if it's something that you do feel that will augment your build in some way, then it's absolutely good to use. But typically speaking, I like to use poisons the most on one-handed weapons, actually. Though this is, I guess, what you're asking. On one-handed weapons, so like if I'm dual wielding or if I'm using a sword and shield, because dual wield and sword and shield enchants are like half of the value of 2H enchants. So I typically will like to use poisons there because I can get the full value of a poison versus the half value of an enchant. Poisons are not guaranteed to apply. The question is, are potions are guaranteed to work, obviously, but poisons have a chance to apply. Yes, 20% chance to apply. And the best way to know if you're poison fired would just be to make sure that you have your debuffs being tracked on your opponent. So like have like a debuff tracker on them. You can get that through the base game and you'll be able to see in their debuffs that your poisons procced on them. And I already explained about the poisons being better. I explained where you would want to use poisons or weapon enchants, and everyone should use potions. The question here is who should use potions, when are poisons better than weapon enchants? Kind of already went over the poisons, but in terms of potions, everyone wants to use potions 100% of the time. Even if you're just questing around, it's good to have like base either magicka or stamina potions on you. They just give you a lot of good effects, and there's really no reason to not use them. You know what I'm saying? They just really benefits you a lot. If you plan on doing any actual group content, dungeons, trials, PvP, whatever, you need to have potions. 100%. It's kind of what I went over, I think, in a previous Q&A when I talked about buff food. Potions are very, very similar. Okay, really important. Give a lot of important buffs to your build, and there's no reason to not have them. What are the best enchantments? Ooh, well, that's going to obviously vary based off of a lot of different things, but in general, the best enchantments that you're going to see in the game for armor, like actual gear pieces, you're going to be looking at 3 different enchants. You have or I guess 4 technically. You have health enchants, which are primarily used if you're a tank. Magic enchantments, which are magic and DPS, and healers. Stamina enchants, which are for stamina DPS. And then you also have prismatic defense, which basically gives you all 3 resources. And you're going to want to use that for like PvP on like your big pieces, and tanks and healers can also take some advantage out of them too on big pieces as well. Mostly tanks more so than healers. But the reason that I always say you want to put prismatic pieces primarily on your big pieces is because if you go and take a look at your gear in game, the enchants on your large gear pieces, head, shoulders, and legs, are going to give you more value than shoulders, gloves, boots, and belt. So when you are trying to get all 3 of your resources augmented by a prismatic glyph, you're going to get the most return from that enchant on your chest, head, and legs compared to the other smaller pieces. So it's way better to put them there. So typically that's why you see in a lot of my PvP builds, you always see 3 prismatic glyphs, because I'm able to get a lot of value out of them on the big pieces to augment all of my resource pools. Can and should everyone use the same poisons? What happens if 2 people have the same? Does it stack or get overwritten? No, it applies 2 totally separate effects. So yeah, you could use whatever poison is best for your build. You don't have to worry about it like overriding or be affected by somebody else's stuff. So like if 2 people attack somebody with a double dot poison, it's going to be applied on that person twice. And what is the best resource for people who want to dive deeper into potions and poisons? Like I said, that UESP wiki thing, just go there and look at your potions and poisons effects. There is going to be a lot of good information there, and you can look at all the different effects and how they influence each other, and yeah, all that good jazz. Let me see. I think there's a couple more things here. Okay, so how do I join the Dottz Gaming Guild? Yes, this has been getting asked a lot. So we do have a Dottz Gaming Guild on PCNA, PCEU, Xbox One NA, and I'm pretty sure those are the active ones at the moment. And if you do want to join them, you're more than welcome to join the Discord at discord.gg/DottzGaming. Ask for an invite there, and you can get invited. Unfortunately, the PS4 ones kind of fell apart, and the Xbox One EU unfortunately fell apart. But we still have both PC guilds are still doing really, really great, and I do believe Xbox One NA is still up and running. What has been updated on your website? How much time have you spent on it this week? And how can we tell if a build is updated? So all the builds, I think, are now officially updated on my website. Thankfully, I have my last build writer send me in his build the day that I'm actually recording this. And in terms of how much time have I spent on my website in a week, man, my wife always knows that the week of a patch, she's just like not gonna see me for a week because, man, I have a lot of builds on my website. I think I update like 75 plus builds in the 2-week period, and it really helps that I do have people that help me write builds, and I have people that help me give me people help with the build content. I probably write about like 50% of the builds, but the rest of the builds are written by others. And if you want to see who that author is, you can tell in like the first line of the build, it says who it is. And to tell if the build's updated, that's in the third line of the build. It says if it's updated for Greymoor or whatever patch. But still, when people update builds, they got to send me the updates, and I still got to go and actually edit the article itself. So even though other people physically, will write some of the builds, I still have to go and transfer that information onto the site. So it takes a long time. It's a lot of work each patch. But honestly, the website for ESO, I feel, is a very complimentary thing to have to go along with Twitch and YouTube. I feel like for this game specifically, having written content is really good. It's a really good medium to have. It's something that people can refer to quickly, especially with how in-depth setups can get. Sometimes it's just easier for people to be able to glance at an article rather than scrub through an entire video. So it's a really good part of my content strategy, and it's something that I love, and I'm glad that I have. But I think that's going to be pretty much it for today's video, guys. It's going to cover, I think, all of our questions that I have. Huge thanks to Aidda for writing up such a great list of questions. Thank you very much. And guys, I hope you all learned something and just enjoyed listening to these Q&A videos. I love doing these. They're really fun, really relaxing to do. And yeah, if you guys have any questions that you want to see featured in the next video with a chance from Aidda to feature that, please leave it below. Any questions or anything, if you want to expand on anything that I talked about, you feel free to leave that below as well. And if you guys, I don't know if I went through my whole like speech. If you like the video, like it, subscribe to keep up to date with the content. If you want to watch me on Twitch, you can follow me over on twitch.tv/DottsGaming. And of course, guys, if you want to see plenty of written content, like I said, you can find that over on DottsGaming.com. So thank you guys for stopping by today. I very much appreciate it. As always, I'm Dottz Gaming, and I'll see you all in the next video.